driving me up the wall.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter how crystal clear, how crispy your video is.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's going to want to listen to it. I think that's the thing. It's like, how do you want to come across?
Mm-hmm.
That's the question you need to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the kind of video you would want to get? Is that the kind of video that would convince you to buy from that other person? I'm Josh.
And I'm Laura.
And this is the Devising Good podcast, where we talk about how to create understanding and provoke action using video. So this is going to be about the unforgivable sin of video, the 3 things that make videos awesome, and why you only need to focus on 2.
Nice.
So when I'm talking about this, though, I'm not talking about animation. So animation, motion graphic, kinetic text videos, like kinetic text videos, that is not what I'm talking about. I'm only talking about like this kind of like live action, people and camera kind of video.
Okay.
So the 3 things that make videos awesome are the quality of camera, the quality of lighting, and the quality of the audio. The one that's least important is the camera.
Whoa. I feel like I would think that was like the most important.
Because it's like, it's a video.
Right.
Like you would think the camera is super important.
Yeah.
But with the right lighting, you can make a really meh camera seem awesome. And without really amazing audio, people are going to tune you out. So, you know, last time we talked about, you know, where's your video going to live, the different touch points and stuff. So this is not like the trade show video or anything like that.
Right.
But I do want to talk primarily about audio and the lighting. So I'll talk about audio first, because that's actually the most important thing you have to get right. When we're talking about those social media videos, or the video that's on your website, or even like if you're sending videos to clients with Loom or something like that, like if you don't have good audio, at least not like really like poor audio or something distracting, people are going to tune you out.
Do you have an example?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to think. Like, it makes sense, but...
So I was listening to a podcast the other day, and I can't tell you how invested I was in listening to this content. I was so in. Like, the thing they were talking about, I really wanted to listen to. It was from one of my favorite podcasts. Shout out to the Future and Chris Doe. And I was listening to this video, and he was interviewing this creative director at Adobe, right?
Oh, nice.
And man, he knew his stuff. He's written books, like all these different things. So I was like really wanting to listen to this guy talk. But his microphone was on like one of the corded Apple, like old Apple, I say old, they still sell them, but the Apple in-ear headphones, right?
Okay.
But kind of where the microphone fell, it kept hitting his beard.
Oh, no.
And I kept having this little scratchy sound as he was talking. It was driving me up the wall.
Yeah.
And like, praise God, like Chris Doe, who's the host, stopped him a couple times and was like, we can't have that. Like, I was like, thank you for saying that. It's so awkward, but like, it was just so annoying. And so he eventually like kind of pulled it away from his face and talked through it or whatever. And then the rest of it was fine.
Gotcha.
But that's an example of, that wasn't even bad
That
audio.
makes so much
that
sense.
was just a little bit of like that
Scratchiness
annoying,
is like the worst when you're listening, especially if you can't see anything and all you're hearing is the audio.
Yeah.
I guess we're talking about video.
But at the same time,
where you're only listening.
Exactly. Right. But so even with that, like I was working and doing something else while like the video was playing, but I was primarily hearing the audio. So I wasn't even really watching the video.
Yeah.
So especially if you're doing any sort of podcast or anything like that, you're 100% right. Like you have to get it right.
Right.
Oh, here's another example. So this was like a long time ago, but for those of our listeners who don't know, you have done health coaching, right?
Yeah.
And you were in the process of making some videos for some of your clients, and I was getting ready to record you, right? And I had my iPhone, I had a Rode shotgun mic like attached to it and a little tripod thing, and it was all awesome, right? But then the cable I bought to go from the mic to the iPhone, you actually need a specific kind of microphone for that. And so
Microphone? Cable?
sorry, cable. You're
Okay.
right. Yes. So you need a specific cable for that. And so we recorded these videos, and the audio was just kind of like it was in. At the time, we lived in an apartment with like the kitchen and the living room were sort of one big room, and the dining room one big room, high ceilings, kind of more urban setting, and like super echoey, not many rugs, like all those different things. And so without a good microphone, all we caught was like you talking into a tin can.
Okay.
Because iPhone microphones are not amazing. Like they're okay if you're like really close, but if you were far away like you were, and especially because the phone was flipped back at me,
Right.
like it didn't pick up very well at all. So you have to pay attention to those things, because like as soon as the audio is messed up, it doesn't matter how crystal clear, how crispy your like video is.
Yeah, that's true.
Nobody's going to want to listen to it.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful about that. If you think about the medium of the video, so if it is something that somebody's going to have to listen to for a long time, like I've seen these videos where people like go up and interview like on the street. Hey, what do you think about this? What do you think about this? A lot of times their mics peak, right? And so that's like, if you ever look at like an audio meter, that's where it goes from like green to yellow to red really quick. And so it kind of makes your voice sound distorted, right? Unless you have like a really good microphone, maybe that has like 32-bit float on it or whatever, you're gonna sound distorted. And some of those like street interview things, you can forgive it a little bit because it's very quick. But if you actually get into talking to somebody or have to listen to them for more than like 5-10 seconds, then it starts getting really annoying, and you don't want to hear distortion that whole time. And I love rock and roll. I love metal music. So it's like I like distortion, just not on somebody's vocal like that.
Yeah.
Audio that's actually the unforgivable sin.
That makes sense.
People will forgive bad audio or bad video. The visuals can be a little distorted, not super well lit, like kind of unclear, semi-pixelated, all those different things. And they will keep watching if the audio is clear. So that's the unforgivable sin. But if you are going to pay attention to anything else after the audio, pay attention to the lighting, because the lighting is what really will make sure that somebody's a decent camera will be able to pick up on a better image if it's well lit. Or like the image will be better if it's well lit. An amazing camera, like I have a cinema quality camera, right? Like that's gonna pick up, like the quality of that camera will be showcased if we have good lighting, right?
Okay.
So it's very important to have good lighting. You have a question?
I kind of do. Like I was just thinking, like, so what would be the difference between a mediocre camera and a cinema camera? If that's a third tier,
Sure.
what was going to be the difference between? Does that make sense? What do you get with the cinema that you wouldn't?
Oh, I mean, really, it's like how, like the details that, so the pixels, like the other details that the camera picks up.
So maybe like the size of the video you're going to show or something like that.
Yeah, okay. The size of the video. So yeah, it's like you don't want to shoot. Well, now almost every smartphone can shoot in 4K. Some in 8K.
Oh, wow.
Like it's insane. So most camera smartphone cameras will be able to do that.
Okay.
And it's fine, but like, yeah, better like Sony camera, or Sony or Canon, or Fujifilm or something like that. Like those cameras will be able to give you a much crispier video.
Okay.
The details you'll be able to see better. You'll be able to, if you have put different lenses on it, the focal length and like how blurry the background is and things like that make it kind of feel more premium.
Okay. But even if you have a good camera and poor lighting, it's not going to be good.
Exactly.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I was messing around with the lighting in here a lot before we started, and it's like, well, okay, that light wasn't close enough, and so like, even if you have all the lights, you have to make sure they're positioned right. The brightness is the correct thing.
Sure. Okay.
The warmth, all the different things. There's a lot to think of. That's why in movies there are people dedicated to lighting.
Makes sense now.
Right.
Gotcha.
And it's like in this, it's like, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 lights, right? And it's pretty well lit. Like we're wanting it to be just kind of more chill, more inviting, like that kind of a thing. But if you're wanting something a little bit more dramatic, maybe you just want one light, right? And it's very harsh and stark and, things like that.
Yep.
So really, even your lighting can help determine a mood
Yeah.
of an entire
Interesting.
video.
Yeah.
Like really, you can get, and I'll have links in the description and stuff, but like you can get an okay microphone and an okay light. Use your iPhone or whatever, and that will, like, by having that microphone and not using the default one on your iPhone,
Sure.
by using the light and not the overhead light in like your living room, or like the light outside or whatever, like if you have just a simple light that you can light your face with or whatever. I wouldn't do a ring light, but maybe like a softbox or something like that. Like you can get them very cheaply. And so if you're wanting to make those Loom videos for your clients, right, that we talked about, you can get a cheaper microphone. You can get just a softbox or something, and it will massively change
Interesting.
the look that your webcam will get. It's a little frustrating. As expensive as like MacBooks are, I'm very surprised at the quality of the camera that they put on it. It's just not very good.
Okay.
That's why they've made different things where you can sync up your iPhone to it or whatever. But like it can take even that not great webcam and give it an amazing feel if you're well lit.
Got it. Yeah.
So
that's a good idea. Don't think I would have thought of that with like an email video.
Right. And it's like, okay, do you want to go through all that for an email video? Maybe
I imagine
do.
you could like have some sort of setup that's super quick and easy if you're
Yes.
doing it on a regular basis.
Yes.
And it sounds like that would like just make you come across much more professionally and much more like top notch.
I think that's the thing. It's like, how do you want to come across? That's the question you need to ask. If you don't really care how you come across, like you can do it however you want. Is that the kind of video you would want to get? Is that the kind of video that would convince you to buy from that other person? Is that the kind of video that you would want to get from somebody because you reached out to them in a moment of trouble and you're wanting help from them, and then they send you like what looks like a sketchy like video, right? It's like, well, no, like if you're well lit, if you have good audio, like then it just makes you more.
It'll actually be things they don't even think of. It'll just be a feel that they have when they think of you.
And that's key. That's key. Like, And we could talk about things like camera, right? Where it's like you want to make sure your camera is positioned correctly, so it's like you're not looking down at somebody, but you're like maybe looking at them more eye level or things like that. But if you don't get the audio right, if you don't get the lighting right, none of that will matter. Okay, so of the 3 things that make video quality really good, where do you need to invest or think about? Do you have the right kind of gear for the video you want to make? So are you making a podcast or a reaction video? Are you doing like a more studio style, like talking head video? Or are you going kind of documentary style where you're going to be needing a wireless microphone because you're going to be out and about? So let's think through each of those things in order. So microphone, again, audio is going to be the most important piece. So based on the kind of video that you're wanting to do you have the right kind of microphone? I have some links in the description of different microphones you could potentially use depending on the kind of video you're trying to make. Okay, number 2, if you have a good microphone, do you have the right lighting? So if you want some solid basic lighting ideas, check out the links in the description. And then number 3, do you have a good camera? Likely if you have a smartphone, you have a camera that can take 4K video, which is awesome. I also have some other camera recommendations in the description. And again, if you haven't already, sign up for my email newsletter, link in the description, and you'll be the first to know when episodes like this drop. And I'll be adding other ideas and tips and tricks in those emails.